Before any bullet was fired, before any ridge was taken, the Alps were already killing men. At altitudes above 10,000 feet, where the air thins and temperatures plunge to -30 degrees Fahrenheit, the human body begins a silent, brutal negotiation with death. The soldiers who fought in these frozen cathedrals of rock and ice, American ski troopers of the 10th Mountain Division, German Gebirgsjäger scaling sheer faces with rifles on their backs, understood something that no field manual could fully prepare them for. Hunger and cold are a deadlier combination than any enemy combatant. What kept these men alive wasn't just courage, it was chemistry, ingenuity, and the carefully engineered food packed into their frozen coat pockets. The D-ration bar emergency chocolate with a deliberate flaw. Reach into the pocket of a 10th Mountain Division soldier, and you'd find, among frost-stiffened gloves and spare ammunition, a small, dense block wrapped in plain packaging, the D-ration bar. This 4-ounce tablet of compressed chocolate, oat flour, cocoa butter, and skim milk powder was engineered by Hershey under direct military contract, and it carried one of the most fascinating design specifications in military history. It was deliberately formulated to taste only slightly better than a boiled potato. The Army's logic was ruthlessly practical. A bar that tasted too good would be eaten for pleasure on the first afternoon, leaving nothing for the moment of genuine crisis. A whiteout storm, a supply line cut by avalanche, 3 days pinned on an exposed ridgeline. Each bar delivered roughly 600 calories in a package that wouldn't freeze solid and wouldn't crumble. It was survival compressed into a rectangle, designed to be despised just enough to be preserved. Fat was fuel. The science behind alpine rations. At extreme altitude and sub-zero temperature, the human body torches through calories at a rate that would stagger most people, upward of 6,000 to 8,000 calories per day during high-exertion alpine operations. Carbohydrates burn fast and hot but fade quickly. Fat, by contrast, burns long and thermogenically, meaning it actively contributes to maintaining core body temperature. The military nutritionists who designed the Type M mountain ration understood this instinctively, packing it with dehydrated cheese, canned pork sausage, luncheon meat, and a butter substitute engineered specifically to remain spreadable in freezing conditions rather than turning to an inedible frozen brick. Every gram of fat in that ration wasn't indulgence. It was insulation from the inside out, a metabolic furnace that kept frostbite 1 degree further from a soldier's fingertips. The Gebirgsjäger's kitchen iron rations and frozen ingenuity. On the opposing ridgeline, German mountain troops carried their own arsenal against starvation. The Erbswurst, a dense, compressed sausage of pea flour, fat and salt that dissolved into a thick, steaming soup with nothing more than boiling water, had sustained German soldiers since the Franco-Prussian War and remained arguably the most elegant field ration ever devised. Drop a segment into your mess tin, add snow melted over a small flame, and within minutes you held something warm, protein-rich and deeply sustaining. Alongside it, Gebirgsjäger carried hard salami, thick-cut bacon, and Zwieback crackers, cured and dried foods that laughed at freezing temperatures because they were already preserved by salt and thyme. When fresh meat arrived at forward positions and immediately froze solid, soldiers adapted without complaint, slicing the frozen flesh into thin chips and frying them directly on the lid of a mess kit with rendered fat and coarse salt, a technique born not from a recipe book but from cold, desperate necessity. Fire, water, and the discipline of staying alive. Perhaps the most overlooked survival discipline in alpine warfare was water management. Snow surrounded these men in infinite supply, yet drinking it unmelted was genuinely dangerous. The energy required to melt snow internally steals warmth from your core at the precise moment your body can least afford to lose it. Every unit that operated effectively in the Alps developed strict protocols around the M1941 single-burner gasoline stove, a compact, wind-resistant device that became as tactically important as a rifle. Melting snow, heating rations, brewing instant coffee, or the lemon juice powder included in American mountain rations for its vitamin content. These small rituals of warmth were also rituals of morale, the difference between men who functioned and men who quietly surrendered to the cold. What the mountains teach us still. These men were not superhuman. They were cold, exhausted, underfed and afraid, and yet they adapted with a resourcefulness that still has the power to instruct us today. The alpine ration philosophy: prioritize fat, minimize weight, engineer for the worst-case scenario, and never eat your emergency supply until it is truly an emergency, maps directly onto modern wilderness preparedness and bushcraft thinking. The discipline of the Gebirgsjäger mess kit fire, the deliberate unpleasantness of the D-ration bar, the Erbswurst dissolving into hot soup on a frozen slope, these are not just historical curiosities. They are field-tested answers to questions that survival situations still ask. The mountains don't negotiate, but with the right knowledge, the kind forged in the crucible of the worst war in human history, you can answer them. If this episode gave you something to think about, something to carry into the field, or simply a deeper respect for the men who fought where the air itself was an enemy, subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles and share this video with someone who values history, self-reliance, and the enduring art of survival. Every share keeps this knowledge alive. And in the world of preparedness, knowledge is the most essential ration of all.